All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Koha Circulation SIG at our new time. And yeah, let's hit this thing off. Who's updated to 24.05 yet?
We are not happy.
Got yeah, some
Same
I've heard
here.
there's
We
some
are too, and
some
too
speed
many
bumps.
bugs.
Yep. Yeah.
Is it starting to level out or
No. No, it seems like we come up with something different every day. And the
that's
ones we have problems with, it's like sporadic too.
I'm actually working on one right now.
Yeah.
what did you run into, Charlie?
I'm getting a lot of I think I said this at the last meeting, but a lot of tickets are coming in still about this message that pops in when you check in items that haven't been checked out, and it's in big red letters that says it was not checked in.
Yeah.
And it confuses people because they think it's an error, but it's actually just letting them know, no, it's just it was never checked in or it was not checked in. And
Yeah.
yeah.
My feeling is, and I should introduce myself. I'm Georgette Rogers from Liberty Lake. Um, we run into that too. And my feeling is if it's not broke, don't fix it. And they fixed it. They fixed something that wasn't broke. Because ours would say, item not checked in. We saw that it worked just fine.
Yeah.
And and now, that's really messing up everybody. That I don't
We
know.
had oh sorry, Molly from Euless. Our staff member Hilda went to the development SIG or something like that, and I think his name's George, gave her code that would take away the red. And if you want that, I can send it out. It helped us a lot clear up confusion. It's just a little less aggressive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Thanks for a reminder. I think I have my notes from that meeting, so I'll just go and do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We also are struggling with the cursor at check-in. You check in an item and it says transfer this to the other library. And you do that and you go back to check in the next item and the cursor isn't what the box is not white. It's not populated again. The cursor is not in the box. You have to click in the box to scan the next item. Then the next time you scan an item, it'll say, this is a hold for either one of the other libraries or here. You say, okay, and you go to scan and it's in the box now. Now the box is populated and ready for the next scan. So we almost constantly have to stop and click and make sure that there's too many stops and goes with this
Ain't nobody got time for that.
update. We don't have time for that. We're too busy. We're a small library, but we're busy. And we don't have time for that.
It's a lot of extra clicks, geez,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
between
is.
everyone.
Yeah.
Lose the
It
Well,
is.
flow.
Yeah.
and I don't know if people have noticed, but drop down lists are randomly going in whatever order, or your default. Like even when you register a patron, your default settings are not there, and so I'm getting error messages and or people are being categorized incorrectly, or whatever the case may be. The consistency of everything is really bad now.
hmm Yeah, it was not a good update. My feeling has always been they should let those of us that run it test it. They don't, but they should. We're CERC. We're the ones that run this thing. We should be the ones to test it. But it seems like this one has a lot of glitches. I actually think, and I could be crazy here, but I think one of my fines came back that we had paid. We are part of a consortium. Library over in Idaho sent me over a check for a patron that had lost one of our items over there. It came over here. I cleared it. I paid it, rung it at my cash register. All was good. Right after the upgrade, that same library called me and said, Georgette, we paid this. I sent you the check. It's back on her card. You go in and look and it says paid, but then the fine is back. How did that happen?
Very weird.
So yeah, and that's
That-
concerning.
Yeah, that's okay. So now that you're saying that things are popping up, I've kind of been noticing that my permissions for my different batch permissions groups have been reverting to its old permissions. So I used to give them like batch permissions for like a certain group, and I like once a week. So this is the second week, and I got the email today saying, oh, it's gone again. So what I would have to do is go in and save. I wouldn't change anything because it would still say batch permissions granted. I would just save it, and then they're like, oh, it's there again. So I don't know
Yeah.
which was just a glitch or if it's going to be a bug. This is the second time, but
Yeah, we noticed, and I don't know if this is just us or if it has anything to do with anything else, but our hold buttons are gone. Search to hold. When you go search to hold, you can't place a hold. You have to either put it in a cart or go in some backwards way to get it on hold for the patron. And it's really complicated. Our search to hold and our place hold button gone.
That's pretty important.
Yeah, it is.
We-
And I'm
We're
actually
not, we're not having any of that, so I wonder if that's a consortium issue
Could-
versus a standalone.
could be, and I'm gonna put a ticket in for that when we're done with the meeting. I don't know if that had something to do with our Aspen not loading properly or anything like that, but I know that we're really struggling to place holds.
If
That
it helps at
also,
all, we have Aspen and our hold buttons are there like normal.
that sounds like a system preference has been added to holds.
It may
And
be.
you need to check something. When we've had stuff like that in the past, similar to this in the past, it was because a system preference was added that before it was all in one thing and they've split it so that people could choose.
Right.
So double check your system preferences.
What, Georgette, what point patch
Yeah.
are you on? Are you on 240503 or 240504?
5. We're on the most part one.
But like after the 05, what's like if you go to your home screen, is it
Let me go
03
check.
or 04?
I'm gonna pop away here for a second. Let me go check.
Because I'm noticing on my test server they put 04 on my test server.
yeah.
And
Oh,
when
did
I
they?
do when I do a search, some of the holds links aren't there anymore.
Ah, interesting. I have 24.05.04.
I think 0.04 is what broke it because I'm still on 0.03 on my production server and the links are there.
So it is, okay.
And it's just in the search result boxes. Like down below, you could click on place hold or place hold for patron. I can share my screen. Let me
yeah,
show you what I'm talking about.
Because I'm not sure we could do that.
I lost my
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm on 03 as well, so it must be something 04.
Okay, so I did a search to hold and I've got the place hold here
don't.
for the patron, but on my test server, I just have no holds allowed, even though I've got
Yeah.
the patron saved up there. So I think something in 04 broke that.
Yep, I think you're right. Yeah, because that's exactly what we're seeing. So yeah, I'm not happy with this upgrade. The last few upgrades have been fine, little glitches here and there, but this major upgrade was a major problem. And
Well,
I see that, they say it's a known issue at Bywater. Well, if it's a known issue, fix it.
right.
I don't
And
have time for this.
I liked your comment earlier. It maybe should require we as the CERC or whatever, or koha-US in general should say basically, we need to be the ones testing it
Right.
before it goes out. Because for me, I can work through some of these things, I have I'm not say common sense, but the
Right.
way to work, enough knowledge to work around things or fix it, or at least get around it. But
Right.
my staff, they panic, especially when they've got a line of patrons waiting for answers or for service. And that's what
Right.
makes it tough.
It does, and it slows us down, and it doesn't give that customer service experience. And we are the ones that work this. And I understand that, you know, they're the R&D and the Q&A people, but we are the ones that work this. And, you know, that's been my hope with, you know, going to the Koha conference or being in a develop meeting or something. We can ask these things and say, hey, can we test these things? Not maybe not all of us, but get a little group of us together, 6 or 8 of us, and you know, let us test this. Let us see where these problems lie before you shoot it out to the community and everybody's struggling and staffs are getting upset and you know, and you know, I'm part of a consortium, so my work around, you know, kind of contains to what they or pertains to what they do and you know, Christopher can only do so much as one, you know, there's only 2 people or 3 people that, you know, trying to fix things and, you know, so I really feel that we need to be the ones, and I've said that for a long time, you know, that we need to be the ones to test this.
And a lot of it
Because this
seems
is,
fine on the test server, you know, but once it goes
yeah,
live,
right,
it works differently.
yeah. Although Jason's test server, it looks like is having set the problems that we're having.
On
There's,
that note, though, I have a question. When we have been kind of late, I'm not lazy. I haven't initiated it, but maybe I should in the future, and let me know if y'all do. When you know an upgrade's coming out, and we have Bywater, so we have a little bit more time where we can play with the test one a little bit longer before it comes to us. Do y'all send your staff to that test server? Do you have any, do you, or is it just kind of a, okay, update happened and then get ready for the changes?
Our test
Okay.
server is over in Coeur d'Alene, and Christopher's got the test server. And time-wise, there's no way for me to get over there, you know, I mean, he's busy, I'm busy, you know, we're a good, you know, 20-minute drive from them, but to go there and try and work all day on at his desk on the test server is not a possibility. I mean, it's not an option for us. And, you know, if we could get a test server, I work on a laptop. For goodness sakes, give me a second laptop and put a test server on it and let me test it. You know,
to like talk to Bywater about using your VPN as like or I forget what the IT guy did, but he sent Bywater a bunch of our addresses, and my laptop is able to use like Koha test server and the live site wherever I go.
I have not. I generally don't jump over Christopher to go to Bywater. So he would be the one that would have to take that to Bywater more so than I would. And he feels like, you know, we're leaving him out, and we really are, and he can't help us if he doesn't know what we're doing. So
Molly,
I had,
what I was, Molly, what I was gonna say is that to me, it would be, I can only do so much on a test server because I can't come through, I can't do every scenario.
Yeah.
I would almost want to say, can I volunteer to be one of your first? And
right,
let me try it in my library, because none of it is ever so bad that it shuts the system down to where we can't function.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
that we have issues and frustrations. Well, if I know that I can do it for a couple of weeks, report back, and if it's really bad, they could backport me to the old one that was
Yeah.
working like we wanted it to until they can get the bugs worked out. That's what I would love to see, even more than a test server where we who are, putting in books, we put in 3 or 4 books, we put in 3 or 4 mark
Mhm.
records, we put in, some scenarios for holes, we put in some, we do some scenarios. Even then, I would not catch it. It needs to be real life, in my opinion, and
But
do
that's
it with
trying to-
with a few libraries that are willing to take that chance.
Yeah. I have this where I feel like I'm kind of setting my staff up for failure and like, hey, go out there and fail and then also figure it out live and then stumble your way through it and then we're solving it as we go. And I was kind of
Yeah,
hoping
but
that y'all
yeah,
had like no, we run these scenarios and we test them out so folks are ready. But it sounds like we're all kind of doing that.
And
Uh,
it's hard to figure out what, I mean, you could test it, and I could get one thing, but you may not be able to recreate it. So it's
And
really
when
hard
you're
to
creating the
recreate.
word problem, it's easy to
Yeah.
solve the word problem you created.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
So yeah, but you gotta do something. I mean, it's just, it's, there's too many times that things happen that, and sometimes I feel, and I don't want to use this as a bitch session. I'm sorry to use that word, but, I have asked, several times for lost items to work differently, and I'm not being listened to. I've been told, oh, that's coming in the next update, or oh, that's something we're working on, or oh, you got to get funding for that. Nobody seems to want to, either go in with us on funding or help us. I don't even know if it's been out there to the community, but it's like there's so many things I would like CERC to do that I need it to do, and it's not doing it, especially this upgrade. But I need, I don't want it to clear fines when you check in a lost item because my items go to collection and it clears it. And then auditors question, why are you recreating a fine?
Georgette, would it be something that we could, as part of the annual koha-US meeting or whatever, where the board meets with the chairs of each SIG and basically says, okay, what's on your bitch list, or whatever the case may be. And then as an organization, the board goes to Bywater and says, this is what we're hearing and this is it. And if you can't fix it, you're going to start losing clients, or whatever.
Right,
We
right.
need you to prioritize these. And this is the feedback we're getting from the group, and do it as a representative push from a major group of us, as opposed to, yeah, we can talk about it all we want to in SIG, but nobody's
it's not
going to
getting
hear
done.
it. It's just
Yeah.
going to die until we get it fixed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So
do.
it's
I
almost
love,
like a new workflow from
Yeah.
of what SIGs would do.
And I've always kind of wanted to do that, but I've noticed the last couple, it's been like this quick speed dating of the SIGs. It's like we're an afterthought, so, this last one, we had so many people that wanted to talk about things and ask questions. We had, what, 5 minutes per group or 10 minutes per group. And I think that's a great idea, Wally. I would love to sit down with them as a group and say, these are the things that we need it to do. These are the things that it's doing that are breaking that, we don't necessarily need it to do. Honestly, I don't need certain things that other libraries need. I need things that, we popped up on our holds list the other day and it's like reserve number. We don't need a reserve number. I realize other libraries do, but we don't. But it's like we need certain things and they're not giving us those things because they don't know, or they don't, or yeah, I might be the only person saying something because I'm on their board for a little longer, but I'm on the board. I'm also part of the conference committee, but there, we need to make a proposal, I think, to somehow to the board and say, hey, when we do the conference, let's set aside an hour for, one or two board members meet with this SIG, one or two board members meet with this SIG, so on and so forth. That's a great idea. And then, John and I, as co-chairs, can take this to, we can create a group. We've got the recording. We can take minutes. We can take a list. You guys can shoot me emails. I'm glad to gather information, and we can create that list and then say, these are the things we want. We don't want them all at one time, but these are the things that make our life easier as circulation staff. We're the ones running this program. We're the ones that need it. But you're right. We can talk it till we're blue in the face. We're not going to get anything done. But it's nice to know that we're not the only ones having these issues. And now we can start a process and start a plan and start, hey, let's start creating this list. So when Koha-Con comes around and they start looking for conference proposals, and now that I'm not on the board, I'm not going to be there for that. Hopefully I can, I can jump onto the conference meetings, and I've asked to be part of the conference committee, but we can start formulating, these are the things we need, and we can come to them and say, hey, let's not just have this 5-minute SIG or this, let's have a meeting with the SIG and the board. Maybe it's before the conference. We're there to set up the night before. Maybe we have a SIG meeting that night, or maybe we have a SIG meeting, after the conference, when we do what, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe on Saturday we do somewhere in between. And then we have our SIG meeting where we actually have a meeting and not just a 5-minute moving around, because in all honesty, I never left the CERC SIG group. I don't do anything but CERC. So it doesn't make sense for me to do the speed dating, as they called it, and move around to the different groups, except the development group. And again, you only had 5 minutes and you had a whole group of people trying to, I know I sound like I'm griping. I'm not griping. I'm trying to come up with suggestions and ideas.
I do like the idea of creating a wish list of developments we'd all like to see in CERC, order them
Yeah.
from most important or, most useful. And then, yeah, setting up some sort of meeting or a way to
Yeah.
pass those on to the community.
Yeah. I'll put my email in the chat. Send me a list of things and I can start creating a list. And so when we have our next meeting, we can, we can confirm these are the things that, that we're finding. And as we get closer to the conference, we can say, hey, these are our most important things. And then we go to the board and we present. I mean, we can go to the board meeting, I'm sure, and we present these, this proposal to the board.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
also
it's
dropping. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's important to do this as part of each SIG meeting, because once all the bugs get, not the Bugzilla bugs, but once all the little glitches get taken out, get fixed with this one,
Right.
come May, we've forgotten about it. It's kind of like childbirth or whatever else. You
Yeah.
forget about it once it's done and over, and don't realize how bad it is. And then by the time we get to the meeting, it's a non-issue. But then it will be an issue the next time it happens. And
Right.
so
Well, that's
maybe
fine.
if we can be proactive, like you said, with these notes and stuff, to then pull it together in June for the August meeting, then it can be more organized and make sure everything is covered, even if it's not an issue at that time.
Right. Now I'll miss the next board meeting. I'm going to be on vacation, so I'm going to need somebody to go to the board meeting and at least make this proposal to them, or we wait until January and do it, because I think we start planning the conference in about January, February. We'll start planning things. And we need to get this in their mind. And you're right, we need to touch on this. Start sending me, things. I'll start creating a document in a folder. And, I do both physical and email. I or on online. I create files of everything. I'm a paper person. So I'll have documents in every which direction. We can say, these are the most important things we want. The most important thing is we want to be heard and we want to be listened to. I think is the top of our list. And then, figure out what we need and what we want, and, our wish list.
What I would suggest is going to the board first, not from this particular SIG, but from as a whole, and saying we would like to propose the board ask the SIGs to do this, basically modeling what we're projecting, what we're suggesting be done. And then let the board communicate to the SIG chairs saying, we want you to do X, Y, and Z, and be ready to perform, to let us know something in June or whatever the case may be, so that we can potentially meet. In other words, I guess I'm looking at it from, instead of going with a list, we need a process first.
Right.
And then we can then do the list. Does that make sense?
It does. Are you going to the board meeting this next month?
Yes, because
Would you Yeah, would you be able, since I'll be on a cruise, so I won't even be able to zoom in.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. Yeah, if you'd
Okay,
like me to, I'd be
thanks.
glad to.
John, are you gonna go to the
John,
board meeting at all?
I haven't gone before, but I could.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, the link, we can get you the link, and if the two of you can go, and, that would be great.
yeah, that sounds good. When is it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the second Wednesday at my time is 8:30 in the morning, so it must be about 9:30 your time.
Cool, cool.
What time is it there, John?
Right now it's almost noon.
Okay, it's 11 here, so it'd be 9:30 your time.
Cool, cool. Second Wednesday,
Yeah.
9:30. Yep, I
Yeah.
will add that to the calendar.
Okay, yeah, and the link is if you go to, I'll send you the link, but you just, yeah, it's a Zoom meeting, and it's the board meeting, and
it's
great,
all,
great.
John, it's all of the various SIGs and other meetings are
Yeah.
listed on if you go to the koha-US main
Thank you.
page, there's a
Yeah.
calendar at the bottom, and it'll
Yep.
that'll even have the Zoom links in it. Now, I will say
Right.
this, Christopher, I think, is kind of in charge of that, and I
Mhm.
showed up for the education meeting this past week, and oops, it was on a different day, so he hasn't had it 100% updated yet, but it certainly will give you a guide and of
Mhm.
when all what is. So
I think the board meeting will stay on the second Wednesday. We moved it. It used to be on the first Wednesday, but as treasurer, we moved it because of the way John gets the numbers from the bank. They come in on the first of the month, and sometimes the board meeting fell on the first of the month, but we didn't always have numbers for the finance report. So we bumped it down a week so that he could get numbers and get them to me, and I could create the report. So I don't know that it'll change. It might go back to the first, but I doubt it. It's mostly because of how he gets those numbers. So it should stay Wednesdays, the second Wednesday at 9:30. 8:30, 10:30, wherever you're at. I don't know. I'm Pacific time, so I'm 3 hours. I'm 1, 2, or 3 hours behind people. I never know where I'm at.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll pitch the idea to them, see what they say.
Great. Thanks, John. Thanks, Wally.
And yeah, Rebecca mentioned earlier there is a Bywater session tomorrow for Q&A about 2405. I'm putting the link in the chat in case you guys want to check that
Do we
out.
do we know when and what time? Or I mean, what time?
That is a good question.
Because tomorrow's our Halloween party here, so I don't know.
1:30 Eastern.
30, that's 9:30 my time. I'm not gonna be. I come in at 11 because I'm working late shift because Halloween is like one of my favorite things we do here at the library.
hey, Jason, have you gotten anything, or do you have any insights of things, workarounds or anything that you've noticed that you're usually kind of guru-ish on all of this, so.
No, I was trying to dig and see if I could figure out why those hold links weren't working. But I wonder, so you guys say that every ticket you submit is a known issue. They'll probably go over it tomorrow, but I wonder if there's a list of these known issues somewhere. I also wonder if some of these are bugs or not, because I tried, like, bugs as in bugs in Bugzilla or not.
Mhm.
I tried to make the whole thing work on master, and it's not a problem there.
Yeah.
So it seems to be
Yeah.
specific to that one bug fix patch.
And Bugzilla is confusing to me because I don't do coding and I don't do any of that. So that's very confusing to me.
Yeah, so typically if it's a known issue in the community, when I put in a bug on Bywater's ticketing site, they'll usually reference it, and there's even a field in Bywater's ticketing site. So I just wondered if anybody had like bug numbers from that angle.
No, because I don't use Bugzilla. Like I
You run
said,
it
it
through
confuses me, and I
Christopher.
run it through Christopher. So the few times I've gone on, and that's one thing I think about the conference. I think sometimes it gets a little technical, and they're like, "Oh, you need to go to Bugzilla or put in a bug request or do all this and that." It's like some of us don't do that. We don't know how to do that. We don't do that because it goes through our tech people. who are wonderful. I absolutely adore my tech people, but you know, sometimes I feel like they forget about us.
Well, I want
Yeah.
to kind of play devil's advocate. I'm trying, like I've been in Bugzilla. I do comments. I am happy to voice my opinion whenever I can. But I don't know how to, I'm not technical, so I don't know how to test them or anything. But I've also invited my staff to do the same because I think the more knowledge we have, the more understanding we have of the system as a whole. So even if we don't know how to change something, like the technical way to change something, even if we just go in there and just read all the comments that are part of a bug, you're still learning a whole bunch about how Koha operates from the big picture perspective. So I know I was scared when I first started peeping into it, but then I made my first comment. I think Wally, you replied to one of mine, and like it's like, oh, it's just a whole bunch of people talking, and it's just there's all this tech around it. But for those of us who aren't technical, we can still glean a bunch of information out of it and learn from Koha, learn more about how to use our own system. So, and then we know what to ask for. Like, so then I know I can put in a ticket with Bywater, be like, Bywater, here's this bug, and I want to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And then I also sound more knowledgeable than I did 2 months ago, you know? So
Yeah.
it's scary, but I recommend, yeah, get in there. And if anything, just put your opinion. Like, this bug would be great, or this would be an awesome asset and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't think it hurts anything.
Yeah, no, and I'll just add that Bugzilla is sort of like a direct communication line to the developers. And it does sometimes feel like you throw something out there and it just goes into a void. But if it gets enough action and enough people are getting their pitchforks and torches out because something's not working right, then the developers do care and they do want the system to work for the people using the system. But sometimes it feels like it's intimidating to me still to put things on Bugzilla because I don't want to, I don't want to sound stupid. I want to understand what I'm talking about. And so like, no, I totally get it, but they're nice people. I went to
Yeah,
KohaCon
they
in
are. They are
Montreal
nice.
and all of those developers would bend over backwards to fix your problem but they need to understand it. And there's communication barrier. It's like a language barrier. They speak a different language than librarians. So
They do.
there is a piece there that you have to kind of fill in for them to like, and the best way to do that is to walk through it. Like, if you can replicate the steps to the problem over and over and give them those steps to do, then they can quickly fix those problems.
Yeah, like Molly
Oh, I
said
know
that,
there's.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Wally.
I was gonna say, like Molly said, it still is very intimidating to get into Bugzilla, but I do what she does and go in. Let me change that. I have started going in like she does and just reading. And if nothing, I'll comment like I did on hers or whatever earlier. That because I've been told that comments or like votes that or whatever gets the kind of repings it back to the developers. But going on what Jason said, it's at least you get a little bit of knowledge just from reading it of what's kind of back there and going on, so that maybe by the time we get to a conference or can bend someone's ear, we can talk about it in terms that would make sense to a developer.
And John, I was just thinking, when you do go to the meeting, can you shoot out an email to all of us and kind of let us know how that went and were they receptive and,
Definitely.
are they going to work on it, that type of thing?
Yeah, I'll give an update on
Great.
how it goes over.
Thank you. Thank you. And like I said, I'm going to be out for 2 weeks, so I probably won't respond. I'm not ignoring anybody. I'm just not available. A lot of times when I'm off, I'll check my email and things, but I won't even be able to. So.
Where it is.
So I'm not ignoring, I'm just not available.
Jason, I put a list of all the bugs I've submitted, or not the bugs, but tickets I've submitted that are bugs. in the chat.
Yeah, I clicked through. It looks like a lot of them have work done on them. So like signed
Yeah.
off. If it needs documenting, that means it's been pushed. So they're working on it, it looks like,
Yeah.
on a lot of the issues.
The one that Michelle was asking about is 37334. That's the stupid status, not being able to sort. I don't know what broke there, but it's been such a pain point for us.
I think it has to do with they changed how that table loads. It's using the REST API now to avoid like the super big records from being really slow loading. Like it broke
Makes
multiple
sense.
things on that page.
Yeah.
I've been copy pasting or telling people to copy paste if anything.
Do you know offhand what that?
I've been sorting by last seen column. That seems to be the closest I can get to,
Maybe you can look it up on your-
like if I'm trying to find something that's available or withdrawn, because usually I'm looking for withdrawn. So that's usually at the bottom of the pile. But yeah, it's a pain. And that one's in discussion, so not anytime soon. But I do wish they would have given us a list of these like pre-known issues, because it's such a waste of my time to troubleshoot it. You know, I get tickets from staff and then I troubleshoot it and then I submit it on to Bywater and they're like, oh, we knew about that. I was
Yeah.
like, well, great.
Yep. Yeah. That would have been nice. Yeah. If they said, hey, look, we know this is an issue. These are the things that people are noticing. We're sorry. We're fixing it. We're working on it. You
I
know?
would definitely try and bring that up tomorrow, like at the little Q&A session. If anybody's going, just say that it'd be really handy if you guys could list out those known issues so that we're saving time on both ends. Like I shouldn't have to open a ticket if you already know about it and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll definitely say something.
Great.
Especially since if it's known issue, I can just pass that on to staff and be like, hey, this is broken. We know about this. Don't freak out. It's coming. We're lucky enough that we do have a test server, but you know, we can't test for everything. You know, real life gives us things that we never ever expected.
Right. Right. Oh yeah. I mean, and it's a computer and, you know, they glitch and, you know, things like that. We can't expect everything. But, you know, if they know some of the big things like the checkout and the holds and, you know, all that, give us some prep so that we can prep the staff and say, hey, these are known issues. Here's a workaround for it until they get it fixed. That would even be nice to say, hey, here's a workaround that we could give to the staff that, you know, so they're not so, you know, frustrated and they can be prepared. Say, you know, at the staff meeting, I could say, hey, there's an upgrade coming. There's some bugs in it. There's some problems. These are what they are, and give them a list and say, there is a workaround. Here's the workaround.
Yeah, I think that's extremely helpful because I mean, we take the documentation that they give us and say, here's all the new stuff.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff, you know, like, ooh, this is what the new screen looks like, or this is what the new buttons look like, or that little gear that changes your library now, you know, when you're, you know, switching a branch if you can. You know, that stuff is helpful, but I agree with you. I think we should definitely have some sort of list that says, here's what's busted and we know about it. Because I know the beta partners are doing, they're the ones identifying these great big bugs, you know, whatever it was that pushed 2405 for another month. I mean, they're the ones that are flagging this stuff in the early stages. So, I mean, I know they fixed a lot of that before they even launched it, but who knows what was left over.
Yeah, it seems like there's two waves. Like there's the early adopters catch stuff, and then when we start upgrading everybody else, we catch a lot of other stuff that they didn't catch, and that's just sort of the cycle of it. And I don't know what the solution is to fix that because it's like my workflows are different than your workflows and different than the early adopter workflows, and I can't early adopt. I have too many people that would like burn down my house if something was really broken. So like it's just it's sticky and like we do have the test server, our test server early adopts, but I have to incentivize people to actually go in and do stuff and then it's still not the same as real life. Like there's just things that happen that we don't see until it happens. And I don't know what the solution is. I wish there were a perfect solution.
Night.
I will say that I haven't been this frustrated with koha in a long time. This is a big one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to ask, like, when you have your test server, I know that they try and match it to the live site. How many times do you have it set with that to have Bywater updated to try and match it to your live? Like how does that work? I'm trying to figure out what's a good medium.
We don't regularly refresh it. Like whenever we're doing a migration, that's when we'll refresh it if we're adding a library into our system. But other than that, I'm not regularly refreshing unless there's I have to ask. Like I don't have that's not like on a set schedule.
I feel like
So
we got like
it's
once a month, maybe.
very stale data in our test
Mhm.
server for the most part. So that could be something I can't imagine it would be something they'd want to do for every library, but because that's like a separate piece from just upgrading the test server. But it could be a strategy for us at least to request a refresh at the point of the test server early adoption so that we could have fresh data to test with.
Yeah, that'd be great. The test server could have early adoption.
Yeah. A question. We've experienced since the update huge lags, and we all know lags happen when somebody's running something big is happening on the background. I think before all of our crons and everything, I think they were happening overnight and not during the day, but it's been pretty consistent-ish. I don't know if consistent is the right word, but it hasn't been completely sporadic, but around the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock hour and around the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock hour, like it takes 2 minutes to check in an item. It takes a minute and a half to pull up a patron account. And I've put this in to Bywater and I've been ghosted the past week. So I just keep all of staff is like sending, it's lagging for me while I'm doing this and it's 12:02. It's lagging for me and it's doing this. So I've just been kept sending them data, but has anybody else experienced this or is it a ULIS specific problem?
We haven't noticed it.
Cool.
We
No, I
have,
asked it-
but it,
Oh, yeah.
but not to the 1 minute, 2 minute.
Yeah, like I
Thing,
timed it.
just-
One page took 2 minutes and 22 seconds to pull
Yeah.
up.
We're getting 30 seconds maybe for the most part, but it's again, it's sporadic, and I think you're right. It's kind of mid-morning and mid-afternoon that I notice it the most.
Yeah.
Molly,
My-
do you have access to your, sorry, Jason, do you have
Yeah, I'm
access to your log files? So you can see
Yes.
like what cron jobs are running at that time or what reports are being run?
Yes, but we don't have access to knowledge. And that is me. No. Could you quickly tell me how to go get that or should I?
Yeah, no, it's in Koha.
I'm ready.
Under the admin, is it admin? No, it's under tools, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Tool and then log viewer.
Yes, I
And
have
then-
clicked on this before. Okay.
Yeah, and then if you click on cron jobs and unselect all, and then just click cron jobs and reports and set the date, it'll show you everything that's running. So
Okay.
you might have something like running in the, we've had this before where we've had like either hold queues or, because our hold queues generate once an hour. And we've had some times where, you know, they get stuck or somebody kicks off a really big report and it clogs up the system. And so I usually look at the log files to see
This is
what's
great.
to see
Okay,
what's
thank
running.
you. Yeah.
Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
No, that was going to be my exact suggestion. It sounds like maybe you've got some crons running at those certain times if it's like consistent every day. The only other thing is like it can be an internet issue. Like I know that they always used to talk about the drift. There's some sort of drift in the afternoon. Like when school gets out, then the internet gets hit really hard. Like lots of usage when school and work people get out of work, and then that can slow things down. But if it's like if you can time it that way, I would definitely check those logs on those cron jobs because it does sound like something's bogging you down at certain points in the day.
Okay. And I'm looking and we're sending crons a lot throughout the whole day. Okay. I'll look at this. Thank you all very much.
I got a question. Has anyone been messing with the booking feature yet
We don't
for
use it.
items?
Nope.
We don't use it.
Because yeah, it just came out with this update, but I'm pitching it to my libraries next week, so see if they want to use it. Because it looks like it's only for your own library location, for your own items. Like it doesn't work across branches.
So John, if you were like at your central branch, you could only request a central branch item and not something that maybe at one of your other transferring branches.
Yeah, from the testing I've done, since it's so new, it's still missing some features that would be helpful, but it doesn't take into account like transit time or anything. So yeah, it's hard to say. So if like someone wanted that item that's booked, they would get a shorter checkout time to like the day before the booking is, but yeah, that's not counting courier or what if the person doesn't return it, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, interested to hear if anyone has messed with it.
I want to use it for our meeting rooms and study rooms. That's kind of what, we have those as items and currently check them out just like a book or whatever else. And I'd love to, instead of having to have a physical calendar, I would love to be able to try a booking on a conference room.
For like the local, checkout stuff.
And we use the
'Cause-
Demco for that. That would be a good idea.
Because it also only has days so far. It'd be cool if it had hours also.
Mhm.
And it looks like it's only staff can do it so far, like through Koha. I have not seen it through the OPEC. But it seems like a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, and I know there's work going on. Like the whole warm up cool down period is a thing that's coming for sure, where you can say like let it warm up 5 days ahead of the booking so nobody else can get to it 5 days ahead, and then once it comes back, give it 5 days to get processed through before anybody else can have it and more bookings can happen and stuff. They talked about that they talked about bookings a lot at QualCon, so I know that developers are interested in making that better.
Very cool. That's good to know.
I like booking, or well, I'm kind of like bookings are, we don't really use it and we don't see how we can use it right now. But the thing that I'm really interested in is the new feature that they updated where they're giving us how many holds to place on a bib. Like when you place a hold on a item in a bib kind of thing, and it tells you can place like 10 at a time or something like that. I wish there was a way to place like multiple item level holds rather than just like say hold next available item, like the next 10 available items, or hold one specific item. I think
You should be able to.
I didn't
Might
even
be
know
like
we
a
could do that.
admin setting thing.
multiple item level.
Yeah, multiple item level holds because I actually have a ticket in that's a bug. Surprise, surprise, because we're getting them when we place them into a random order. So yeah, here's the bug is 37587. So we can place multiple item holds. So we use those for our book club and our programming cards. So they click on it and then they click 10 different items or whichever ones they're trying to call in or for whichever. But when they do place the holds, the holds are getting placed in random orders. Unless I'm misunderstanding the question, which is also possible.
So from what I see here, I'm not, so maybe I've disconnected a little bit, but from what I'm seeing here on the holds, there's holds next available item, which gives you the option to like check out, like put a hold on up to like however many items, like 10 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like random, like it's the first one first, like it's the first one that's checked in, that's what you get. And then there's the other option where it holds one specific item, like you can only select one. But sometimes there are issues with orders that come in, and I'd like to be able to place multiple specific item holds, because the new ones that come in are like, maybe they're processed differently and I need to call them in to fix it, for example. So having that functionality would be very helpful, rather than being able to place multiple holds at once. Like that's really good with like book clubs, but I think this one would mostly be used for like the back end, trying to like fix, like if you know there's an issue with one specific like set of books from one bib, then I could just do it all in one go rather than go 1, 2, 3 kind of thing.
I put
Unless this
the
is what you're talking about.
I put the bug in there, Charlie, that added this feature, and I think you have to turn on this system preference to make that work. But it looks like that came in 2405.
Magic. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna put myself on mute. Thank you. This is exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
I was gonna say, do you want me to show you what it looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on, let me share my screen.
Sorry. I can't.
No, that's okay.
My excited voice came out. Cookie
Oh,
Monster.
I'm with you. I was
It's
like, yeah,
okay.
like this exists. Yeah, so here's our test server. But yeah, like here you do holds, and then you just place your hold here, you know, fix it. That's my card. Yeah, and then you do hold specific item, and then there's 8 holds, so you could do one. I wish there was like a select all here, which would be super handy, but yeah, and then so if I only place 6, and then click place hold.
Oh, that is so awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And then our problem is they should all be at the bottom, like here at the bottom, but they're not, unfortunately. So,
And we're off.
but yeah,
So, yeah.
that's the new function. I'm glad Jason found the system preference.
Thank you.
But it's super handy, and we use it all the time.
Yay. It's the little things in life.
Yes, it's nice we have these meetings because then you can find the workarounds and all the little things we need and want.
I was just excitedly texting all of what y'all just said to our processes supervisor. I was like, you need this too.
Yeah, I got another one. Has anyone had much experience using the hourly checkout? Like instead of by day, you do it by the hour in the
We don't
circ
use that
rule.
one.
I just realized it was an option to switch the unit to hours, but yeah, I
Yeah,
have a few
we do
libraries
that.
ask.
We do that with our study rooms. Our study rooms we have set for 2 hours. And it lets you know when they're overdue, obviously at 2 hours. So
How does it let you know?
well, let me change that. It says no pop-up. It's just that when I'm looking at somebody comes and says, is there a study room available? I pull it up and I can see which ones are overdue and either go and ask the person to vacate and because it even has the time that it was due because it was based on the hours. And so it's
Just
we
pull it
use
up,
it and
the
it's
bid record
excellent.
to
Yeah.
check.
Where do you set
Yep.
this up? On the circulation rules?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, in circ rules, yeah, you can switch
Yeah.
the unit.
Does the
Option.
patron get a notification? Like, is there a notice for it?
See,
They
that's
can,
Okay,
they can, yes.
yeah, I
cool.
was just looking at that to set up a specific hourly notification. So like, if they wanted like a laptop or something, some
Exactly.
equipment, give
Yeah.
them an email. So we aren't always having to keep on top of that.
Yeah, we've even done the same thing when we've had like solar glasses or seeds or something. We have just a generic seeds item and we'll get it checked back in every 15 minutes so that, if a person comes in, we don't have to override because it's already checked out to somebody. that it will have checked itself in. After, I think we did it for every 15 minutes. And then when we go to check it out for the next patron that wants a packet of seeds, it's typically available. Same thing with the rooms.
I like it. Definitely be messing with that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, we can in the circ rules, we can set the when it becomes overdue. I think I had to have a cron set up. Bywater had to set up a cron for me to actually have it check in automatically. So
Sweet. So we are getting about to the end, guys. Good stuff. So our next meeting will be the day before Thanksgiving.
What are we doing for the one in December? Because it's on Christmas.
Oh, that's not gonna work at all. We
Gotta call
will
out that day.
yeah, and neither will the one before Thanksgiving because I'll be prepping turkey.
see it's
Ooh.
probably gonna be a smaller one the day before Thanksgiving, but
Yeah,
the
I can.
December one, I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
Where we were doing the TBS and like you mentioned.
I don't work.
Moving it is not an option.
My body's here, but my brain's not until January, starting November 1. So
That's a great answer, Molly. I love that.
So maybe we'll
if we want to
skip
skip 1 month.
that one, but the December one, there's too much going on.
Yeah.
But I still think even if it's a smaller one, we should aim for
I'll be here on that Wednesday, the before
that
Thanksgiving.
Wednesday.
I
I'll
will
be
be
here.
too. Yeah, I'll be here.
And I'd suggest that anybody has a thought or comment or something to email Georgette or John and just so they can bring it before the group, the small
Right.
group that's there,
Cool.
Definitely.
both for that one and the December thought process.
There is a shared circ document out there, like a Google Doc. I'll find it and send it out to you guys, so then we can all be adding to it and see what people are saying. So
That'd be great.
that'll help.
Yeah.
Well, sweet guys. Any final comments before we call it?
No, thank you.
Great.
Thanks for
No,
letting me
thanks
share.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And it
thanks.
works.
y'all next time.
Multi-item level holds. I've got it.
Yes.
Yay!
Yay!
I
Woohoo!
love it.
It's all coming together.
Yes. Happy days.